Today I'm going to be showing you how to make an infinity scarf like this one. It's really easy. All you need are 3 fat quarters. You can choose any colour combinations that you like. With this one, it's plain, but you can also add some a pom-pom trim on the edge, and I'm going to be showing you how to attach that. The only other things you need are a needle and some thread. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is get 2 of our fat quarters, and we are going to place them together down this side. We need to have our right sides together. I'm going to put them together like this, and we're going to pin all along this side just so that it doesn't move while we're sewing. Once you've pinned it, now you can start sewing. So I have got a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, which is 5/8 of an inch. And we're just going to go straight down, so nice easy straight line. I'm going to start by doing a back stitch, just to secure it. And away we go. And at the end, I'm just going to do another back stitch. Okay. The next thing you need to do is get your last fat quarter. You're going to do exactly the same thing. Put the fabric right sides together, and you are going to pin it. So again, we're going to do exactly the same thing, starting off, going forward a few steps, and then doing your back stitch, and then going all the way down to the bottom. So now is the time when, if you're adding pom-poms, it's when you need to attach it. So I've opened out all of the fabric, so I've got my 3 bits of fat quarters all sewn together. Now what we need to do is, on the right side of the fabric, we need to pin the pom-pom about 2 centimetres away from the edge of the fabric. So I'm just going to pin all the way down here. So now that I've pinned down all of my pom-poms, I'm going to tack it. It's a bit of a hassle to do, but it does really help, because otherwise it can slip and slide and your pom-pom will get caught up in the sewing machine. So I'm using a different colour thread, and I'm just going to tack all the way across to hold it into place. So for this part, I have changed the foot that I'm going to be using. I have chosen to use an adjustable zipper foot. So with this foot, it doesn't have anything on this side, so it won't nudge into the pom-pom and it won't move it while we're sewing. I'm going to tighten it up and then put my scarf in. So my pom-poms are just here. I'm going to line up this edge so it's right next to the pom-poms, and you can see that my needle goes in right next to it. So I'm going to pop my needle down. And with this, you have to be so careful and make sure that you're feeling the pom-poms as you go, making sure that they're facing left, so away from the raw edge of your scarf. So I'm going to start by sewing forwards, and then I'm going to do a back stitch to secure it, just like we did before. I'm going to go forwards and backwards. And it's better to go nice and slow with this. You don't want to finish and realise you've caught up the pom-pom. So I'm feeling all the way down here, and I'm going to sew the whole length of the scarf all the way to the bottom. Each time making sure I'm pushing the pom-poms away. So I have sewn all the way down, and you can see that I've attached the pom-poms in here. If I turn it around, you can see that I have only sewn along this line, so I was trying to get as close as I could so that the pom-pom showed nicely on the other side. What I'm going to do now is I've changed my foot back to my standard sewing foot, and I'm going to attach this part here that you can see that's loose. I can do this just using my normal stitching. I'm going to turn it over. You can feel where you're going, so I can feel that it's about here. You just need to make sure that you're sewing down the middle of the pom-pom ribbon. So I'm going to go forwards and backwards, same as we've been doing before. And I'm going to sew all the way to the bottom of the scarf. It's going to be a nice quick job. stitching, you can see the 2 layers of it here, so that means that my pom-poms are nice and secure. What we need to do now is to turn it the right way around, and hopefully our pom-poms will be nice and straight and looking nice. So I'm just going to pull it through, and you can see you've got the pom-pom edge there, and luckily it's all looking good, which is very reassuring. Now what we need to do is we are going to sew together both ends of the scarf to make our infinity scarf. So right side out like this, we are going to match up our seams. So I'm going to match up the pom-poms here. You need to open out the scarf, each part of the scarf like this, and we're going to pin 2 layers. So it's going to look like this while we're pinning it. This part is out like this part is out like this. We're going to pin all the way around this edge, and we're going to leave a little gap at the end where we're going to hand stitch. So let's get pinning. We're going to start by going forwards, just like we have every other time, and then go backwards. And because this is very bunched up, because it's in a circle, we're going to have to make sure it's nice and straight. So I'm going to sew down here, and then I'm going to adjust it, just to make sure that the part I'm sewing ahead is always straight. You need to feel for the bottom part of the fabric as well and make sure that that's not bunched up. And again, adjust, because we don't want any bobbles on the other side. And then just the last part here. And then I am going to do some back stitches here because we're going to be giving this a bit of a pull, so we want it to be nice and secure. So I've stitched all along the inside and connected most of my infinity scarf together, but now I need to do a slip stitch. So this is a stitch which you can't see on the outside, so it's going to look seamless, hence the name infinity scarf. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to hold these 2 bits of fabric together, so you need to fold it in slightly, just the same seam as the rest of it. And to start my stitch, I'm going to stitch in the same place a couple of times. So this is the same as doing the back stitch on the sewing machine. So 3 or 4 times should be enough to secure it. So when I pull it, it's nice and secure, so I can get started. I'm holding them together. Now with a slip stitch, we're going to hide the thread inside the fold. So starting here, I'm going to go in, and you need to do quite small stitches for this because you want it to be nice and tight. So I'm doing a little stitch here, and then I'm going over to the other side of the fabric. So my fish on this one, I'm going to go in a little bit, like this. Pull it tight, and then you just keep repeating that as you go. So I've got a tiny stitch here, and I'm going to go into the other side again. And you need to do this all the way to the finish, joining it up, giving it a nice pull so that you can't see the stitch over the top, and continue right until the end. So this is the finished infinity scarf, and hopefully you have one that looks like this too. Please check out our webpage, our Facebook, our Instagram and our Twitter. All of the information is on the screen to tell us how you did.